Well, good morning, friends. Hi, this is Carrie from Conversations at Carrie's Corner. I know it's been about a week. I haven't had a podcast in a week, and I apologize for that, but I've been a little busy. I have been watching with my husband our beautiful grandson, who is 18 months old, and he took up the majority of the day, of course. Like any 18-month-old, he was into everything, and it was a constant, just making sure that he was okay. So last week was not a week to even attempt podcast. So I am starting off the week new. It is a new week. It's Sunday, and I'm excited. Unfortunately, this subject today is not a subject that I thought I would ever discuss on this podcast, and I'm truly disheartened by what I'm seeing. But that's what this podcast is all about, is bringing to the attention of whoever watches this video what is going on, to spark a conversation for you to take and go to another person and pass it along, forward it down to the next table, so we can come together as a nation, as a society. If you live in the United States, that's what I'm talking about, and fix our problems. We got really big problems, and that is what Conversations at Carrie's Corner is about, is talking about them, putting them on the table, and hopefully you take it and then forward it to somebody else and have a conversation, because the only way we're going to fix our problems, I truly believe, is if we talk about them. We talk about them, we discuss them calmly, rationally, intelligently, without violence, without insults, listen to each other and come up with solutions. We used to be able to do this, and it's just all fallen apart. We are the laughingstock of the world because of what is happening in our country today. And that is what has inspired me, as just a normal citizen who's trying to make ends meet and grow my companies and have a calm, normal life where I'm safe and I prosper and my family is safe and they prosper. And I feel like that's all in jeopardy. And I feel like our voices are not being heard. We have leaders that are ignoring so much. And I never in my wildest dreams would have thought that I'm talking about on my podcast potential civil war. There's only one other time that I have really felt this danger, and that's when, at the time, presidential candidate Donald Trump was nearly assassinated. I feel it again. I feel this unbelievable sense of fear and overwhelming, pending gloom. I'm not a gloomy person. I am a half full, not half empty person. I am a on the go all the time, trying to be positive. And I am worried about us. I'm worried for my family, my children, my grandchildren, their children. What is happening? We are falling apart day by day by day because we have leaders that are encouraging just total, complete anarchy. I'm going to put my glasses back on because I think better with my glasses. And I can see you better. I'm sorry for the ring. When the unrest took place on January 6th, the majority of those people that went to the Capitol that day did not go there with bad intentions. They went there to express the disgust that we felt because our election was stolen. And let's be real, people. There's absolutely no doubt today that election was stolen and Donald Trump should have been a second-term president then. Instead, that election was stolen and we had a commander-in-chief that was not there. that took this country to the brink of disaster. That all of us now are going to be trying to get out of that situation, and God knows how long it's going to take. Before that, I really was thinking in 3 or 4 years I could retire. But because of the devastation, the irresponsibility, and the complete total disaster of Biden and Harris, I don't know if that's even possible now. And I'm thoroughly and completely disgusted. I'm disgusted that I am watching leaders in this country encourage civil disobedience and unrest and anarchy and violence. In November last year, the American people spoke very clearly that we were disgusted and that we wanted change, and we elected Donald Trump to do that again. That election took place, and it was certified. And the sitting leaders in Washington today, all of them, certified that election. There was no question about it. And half of this country, half of the political establishment feels that the person who is elected by the people resoundingly is not the president. Yet they certified this election. They took an oath of office to protect this country and all of us from all enemies, foreign and domestic. They all took that oath. So what is that oath now? Just irrelevant? They just have made a decision that, oh, to hell with that oath. It doesn't mean anything. We can encourage our supporters to go out and riot and stand in the way of deportations of murderers and criminals and rapists and child traffickers and women traffickers and God knows what else. Gang members, just because they want to prove a point, just because they're acting like teenagers that did not get their way. And we have leaders in Washington, as this film is being done, who are encouraging those people in Los Angeles to completely ignore our sitting government. If that's not treason, well, I'll be damned. I don't know what's not. If that's not treason, you have sitting Democratic leaders that today are encouraging those riots in Los Angeles. They're encouraging people to completely ignore their sitting government. They are supporting it. They are funding it. And they are encouraging it. And while they do that, Americans are dying. And that's okay. Because they don't like Donald Trump. I am just at a loss. Do we live in the United States of America, or do we live in a third world country? Are we rational, intelligent, articulated, educated people, or are we heathens? Are we barbaric animals? Or do we live in a civilized society? I mean, we have two of the most powerful men this week that have been, I'm sorry, and I support President Trump, but I feel like the last week I have watched two teenage girls arguing because they're fighting over somebody. That's really how I feel. And it encourages this discourse, this faction of leaders who will say and do anything to get their way, to have their power and their money and their position, and to hell with whether or not Americans die in the process. They simply don't care. They simply don't care if innocent Americans continue to be raped and murdered and sold into trafficking. And they support gang members over Americans. Where do we live, people? I mean, where do we live? Do we live in the United States of America, or do we live in a third world country where we have no civility and no laws and no decorum? I mean, and they don't care. The Democratic leadership in this country today don't care. They care about themselves, their money, their position, and their power, and they will do anything and say anything and support anything for one purpose, because they hate Donald Trump. We are the laughingstock of the world. We're supposed to be the shining city on a hill that is a beacon because of the way our country is run. And we are the laughingstock of the world. It's like we have teenagers in charge. And there's Americans dying. There's Americans at risk. I have first responders in my family. My oldest is a paramedic. My daughter is a nurse in the middle. And my youngest is a probation officer, so he's a county worker. He's on the front lines. We have 10-year-olds trying to murder their parents. Where is America? Where is my America? I came to this country in 1968 with my family so my dad could fulfill his career, and he's had a great career. My dad's a retired pro golfer. I've lived the American dream. And I feel like I'm watching my American dream slip away. Do the leaders of this country truly understand how average Americans really feel today? The challenges, the struggles, the stress that we are under just in normal life. But then you add all of this discourse and unrest on top of all of that, just normal life, paying your bills, taking your kids to school, getting to your job, doing your job, keeping your job, paying your bills, staying on the right path. And we have leaders that are violating all of that by their action, by their conduct, by their words, by their supporting civil disobedience and unrest. And we're worried whether or not a president is on Jeffrey Epstein's list. Who gives a shit? He's probably on the list. Who isn't on the list, for God's sakes? You're talking about a man that was going in circles of the top 2%, the elite people in this world. The question everybody needs to be asking is, who's not on the list? That's the right question. They're all on the list. Royals, actors, singers, moguls, politicians. They're all on the damn list. The man was an animal, and the woman in jail supporting him was an animal too. Clinton's on the list. And that's a former president that had a blowjob in the Oval Office, and that is okay. But we have a president who is being submarined, and our government and our American way of life is slowly but surely being destroyed because he told the American people to walk to the Capitol and tell those government officials how unhappy we are. And he's not a politician. They can't control him. And so they're acting like a bunch of juvenile delinquents. Yeah, you are. Schumer, Pelosi, Clinton, Bush, Jeffries. Schumer. You're acting like a bunch of juvenile delinquents. You were elected for your position by your constituency. Have you forgotten that? You were sent to Washington to work for the American people. You weren't sent to Washington to destroy our government one day at a time, one tweet at a time, one comment at a time, $1 at a time. And that is exactly what you're doing. You either support the American government system, you either support the Americans, you support our voice and our vote and our system, or you don't. I know I speak for 70% of the Americans in this country that we have had it up to here with all of this bullshit. All of it. All of the hatred, all of the Black Lives Matter, and Black Lives do matter. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the violence, all of the hatred. You know, I mean, our country, our world has been turned upside down because of Biden and Harris and the left ideological radical views and our money. I work damn hard. I work 16 hours a day. I work damn hard. And it pisses me off that my money, my taxpayer dollars money, is being sent to some foreign country so a person can transform himself, if that's what he chooses, into a woman, and I'm paying for it. By God, no, I'm not going to pay for it. Or a play or a act on transgenderism. God Almighty, our country has been turned upside down, and I hold every single politician accountable who does not take their oath of office and protect me and this country and everybody in it from all enemies, foreign and domestic. We have terrorists in this country today, sleeper cells in this country today, that are thrilled to death that you are acting like this. And mark my words, we're going to have a total and complete catastrophe because you idiots in Washington are more worried about yourself and the fact that Donald Trump got elected than keeping your eye on the ball. And Americans are going to lose their lives because you are so incompetent. I cannot believe what I'm seeing in Los Angeles. This is just blatant disrespect and civil discourse. And the Democrats, I'm speaking directly to you. I hope I'm making that crystal clear. And the Republicans that don't support our sitting government, the rhinos, Graham, and all the rest of you rhinos that have no backbone. Those people that are injured or worse, their lives are on your conscience. You are complicit in their injury or death. Your lack of support for this sitting government is inexcusable and unforgivable, and you should be immediately removed from office. You should be charged with treason, and I'm sorry, you commit treason, you should be taken out into the middle of town square and you should be shot. And I know I speak for the majority of other Americans, and we are just sick to death of all of this. 10 years of this. all while we are trying to just live our lives, go to work, pay our mortgage, pay our car notes, put food on our table, let our children grow up in a safe environment, go to school safe, not worry whether or not some idiot's going to walk in their nursery room school and take out an Uzi and shoot them. And we have former presidents, Bush, Obama, Clinton, and you make no effort because of your position. You are making matters worse. You're part of the problem. You started this bullshit, all three of you. You're just as culpable and you're just as responsible as every single government official that took an oath of office that is currently in their position in Washington, and you should all be held accountable. Then you have an idiot like Gavin Newsom, who's in charge of the 7th highest economy in the world. And he is encouraging violence, disobedience, discourse, unrest. He would rather support a murderer, a gang member, who takes innocent children and sells them into sex, or women into sex. He supports a rapist, a gang member, over his own citizens. People are leaving California. Do you wonder why? Who would want to live there? You can't afford it. They're going to be paying $8 a gallon for gas. They have to spend $1 million on a 500 square foot piece of shit because their economy is so out of control. So all of that spills over because people can't afford to live there. It's like a wave, and it just keeps coming and coming. It goes to Arizona and Nevada and Oregon and New Mexico and Texas and Florida. We have a plague in this country. It's stupid, illiterate, incompetent politicians. And you're destroying us one decision at a time. My generation, the last part of the greatest generation, the baby boom generation, 1 in 3 of us between the ages of 60 and 65, actually I think it's 67, 1 in 3 of us can't afford to retire because of what has transpired in the last 20 years in this country financially. The complete collapse in 2008 and the destruction and complete incompetency of Biden and Harris in the last 4 years. So instead of retiring at 65, we may not be able to retire. And it's not for irresponsible spending or spending frugally, spending unfrugally, or making bad decisions. It's because of the complete and total incompetence of our leadership. I have 4 grandchildren, and as I sit here today, I have no faith and confidence that they will see the America that I grew up in. Their parents can't stay home and take care of them. They go to work. Like 80% of the rest of that generation. others are taking care of their children. And I'm telling you, it makes a difference. I see it in all 4 of my grandchildren. The country that I grew up in, the country that we came to live our family dream, in my opinion, is almost dead. And as I film this today, I have zero confidence, zero, that it's gone forever. Because in our system, we have 3 arms of power. And when 2 of those arms of power do everything within their power to destroy the executive branch of our government, how can it possibly survive? And we have leaders who want it to fail. We have leaders who are more worried about themselves than the rest of the population. They're worried about their money, their position, and their power. They're not worried about you and I. Everything they do and say proves that. They let men steal dreams because they let men steal female athletes' dreams. They let men into women's bathrooms. Now, I'm not saying all transgender people are violent, but from my own experience, I know there are perverts that are taking advantage of this issue, who are just waiting to prey on innocent women and girls. And they think it's okay. They're not worried that 2 out of the 3 people in my age group can't retire. Maybe never will be able to retire, because they certainly will be able to. We pay for their benefits for the rest of their life. We pay for their health care for the rest of their life. They are making millions and millions of dollars off of you and I, taxpayers, because of their position in Washington. They're making millions of dollars. And they will continue to make millions of dollars until we, as a society, stops going to their lectures, stops buying their books, and saying enough is enough. Term limits. If 8 years is enough for our president, then by God, 8 years is enough for the rest of the politicians in that swamp in Washington. I don't know if you feel how I feel. Just about everybody that I talk to feels like I feel. Even people that are Democrats that I know, that are my good friends. My very, very best friend is a Democrat. And she feels like I do. That the entire swamp, every single politician, should be removed from office and we start all over again. It's not feasible, but it's a dream. So see, people can have differing opinions and still communicate. She's my best friend. I talk to her every day. The Democrats actually encourage division. They actually encourage families that disagree to not agree. We have people on social media that are encouraging 10-year-olds to divorce their parents. We have people on social media that are encouraging confused children to go and mutilate their bodies and giving parents no recourse to try to save them and get them the right help. Maybe they are. Maybe Maybe they are in the wrong body. But at 10 years old, you do not know that. You don't have the emotional experience and intelligence to make that kind of decision at 10 years old. I'm sorry. I don't care what anybody says. It's impossible. But yet, the left would allow them to divorce their parents and go mutilate themselves. And there's people that have done that are now suicidal because nobody intervened. I don't have the solutions. I just know that we as a society have to figure this out. The general population has to figure this out. We have to come to the middle. We have to talk about things rationally, intelligently, calmly, or else we will lose our nation. I feel we're on the brink of that more today than I have ever felt it in my life. And I'm not a hysterical person, but there's too many signs out there. My prayer is that we all can have our voices heard so we can demand that our leaders work together for the common good, you and me, and our country, and our future, and our generations to come's future. If any of this has resonated with you, please share this. My hope is that we can come back to the table and talk to each other about all these things and figure out a way to save our country, save our land, and save our future. We owe it to those generations behind us to do that, do we not? We had that opportunity. Don't they deserve it too? And I pray for my land, my country, and all of my leaders. I want them to do the right thing. I want them to lead. Yes, they don't all have to agree. That's not what this is about. This is about saving the United States of America. Because Los Angeles today could be Houston tomorrow, or Miami tomorrow, or Oklahoma City tomorrow. And that's not okay. That's my podcast for today. Pretty heavy one, I know. But I hope that somewhere in this 33 minutes, something that I have said resonates with you, and you'll share this podcast and start a conversation with somebody that maybe you don't necessarily agree with. Because people, that's the only way we're going to save our country. History has proven that nations divided, well, they just don't survive. And I feel that's where we are. We're at that precipice. We're on the edge. Are we going to fall, or are we going to save each other? I hope it's the latter. I've got a lot left I want to do. I'm sure you do too. Many blessings to you on this Sunday. God bless our country and our leaders, our president, whether you like him or not. He was elected fairly, and it was certified. We've got to come together. We've got to lead. We've got to demand that our leaders lead. If they don't, we've got to remove them one way or the other, legally, for failure to do their job. And if they're not supporting our government, that's treason. There's no gray. It's black or white. They do or they don't. God bless you on this Sunday. Thanks for joining me. This is Carrie. I'm the owner of Conversations at Carrie's Korner, where we're whole purpose here is just to start a conversation, pass it along. If you're as passionate about the United States as I am, I hope you do that. And I hope you pick up the phone to somebody that you don't agree with and say, let's have a conversation. We used to be able to. I pray we can, for all of us. Thanks for joining me on this Sunday in June. I hope you have a splendid week. I hope it's a safe week. I hope no American dies this week. Pray for our troops everywhere, those families that have lost troops, loved ones. Support them, because they're dealing with the ultimate sacrifice. And we owe it to them. God bless you and God bless America. Have a great week, everyone. This is Carrie from Conversations at Carrie's Korner. Be safe.